بینندگان عزیز سلام بر شما. در حاشیه کنفرانسی به مناسبت روز جهانی زن در پاریس در خدمتتون هستیم. این کنفرانس بین‌المللی با شرکت شخصیت‌های مختلف از کشورهای مختلف جهان برگزار شده. میهمان این قسمت از برنامه ما خانم لیندا چاوز هستند. خانم چاوز خیلی تشکر میکنم از حضور شما. میخواستم نظرتون راجع به موضوعاتی که در این کنفرانس مطرح شد برامون بگید.
It was a very inspirational day. It was an inspiration to the women of Iran. It was an inspiration to the women who are forced to be outside of Iran because they want freedom and they do not have it in Iran. It was an inspiration to all women, and it was an inspiration particularly because of Madame Rajavi. She, I think, is a leader to all women. Her leadership, her devotion to democracy, her devotion to full equality, I think should inspire women across the world.
راجع به برنامه‌ای که خانم رجوی برای ایران فردا دادن، برنامه 10 ماده‌ای، به خصوص اونایی که برمیگرده به موضوع برابری زنان و مردان، نظر شما چیه؟
Well, it is clear that the people of Iran have suffered for more than 3 decades, and they suffered before that under the Shah. They have not known freedom for a very, very long time. And when you have a nation, you cannot have freedom of movement, freedom of choice of what to wear, whether to go to school, what career to pursue for only half the population. You cannot deny the women who bring life into this world, who without whom we would have no future generation. You cannot deprive that part of the population their basic human rights. And what Madame Rajavi has tried to tell the world is that until you can bring true freedom, true democracy, the right of the people to select their own government, the right of the people to be able to believe what they wish to believe, and not to be forced by dictators to believe a certain way, to pervert the great religion of Islam, that unless you are able to remove those things and give people their basic human rights, then you do not deserve to lead a country. And I think the regime in Iran must fall, but it will only do so by the leadership of those like Madame Rajavi, who will try to promote that kind of freedom both outside and within Iran.
خانم چاوز، خواستم ازتون بپرسم در مورد 1000 زنی که در اشرف و لیبرتی هستن، با وجود همه تهدیدات و خطراتی که اونجا وجود داره، چه مسئولیتی جامعه بین‌المللی و آمریکا در قبال موقعیت اونها دارن؟
Well, first of all, the United Nations has appointed someone as the special envoy for the situation in Iraq for the refugees who were first at Camp Ashraf and now at Camp Liberty. And he has abrogated his duties. He is someone who has ignored the basic human rights violations that have gone on from day one. Once that rule of the camp was turned over to the Iraqi government, the people who were within the camp were in fact in danger. And we have seen 2 attacks that have killed people in Ashraf. And now we have seen a mortar attack in which 7 people died, in which 100 people were injured, 10 of them quite seriously. They lost limbs. This is unacceptable. The fact that the United Nations has not intervened, has not declared every resident of Camp Liberty to be a legitimate, bona fide refugee that is under the protection of the United Nations and under the protection of those who will in fact ensure that they be secure, this is a disgrace. But it is a special sorrow to me as an American that my government, which signed documents which each and every one of the residents of Camp Ashraf, that guaranteed their personal security, that my government, in handing over responsibility to Iraq, has not ensured that Iraq live up to those responsibilities. And I call on my government, first of all, to demand Martin Kobler be removed as the envoy from the United Nations, and secondly, to either move people back to Camp Ashraf, where at least they have the security of concrete buildings, they have room to spread out, they have an infrastructure, they have much more territory that will allow them protection. If the government is not willing to do that, then they should be resettled, and I say we should welcome them into the United States. These are people who are freedom lovers. These are people who want to see regime change, and all Americans want to see regime change in Iran. That has got to be the ultimate goal. The world will not be safe, the world will not be peaceful, as long as you have the misogynistic tyrants who rule Iran in place.
خانم چاوز، به نظر شما چرا رژیم ایران انقدر دشمنی داره با مجاهدین و مقاومت ایران و همه عواملش رو در عراق یا در هر جای دیگه من جمله سازمان ملل به کار میگیره برای انهدام این مقاومت؟
It's very clear to me why the government in Iran is so intent on eliminating the people in Camp Ashraf and Camp Liberty. They view them as a threat. They view them as a threat to their continued dominance in Iran. They view them as the future. They view them as an alternative to a view of what it means, what Islam means. They view them as a threat to their power. And so they will not be satisfied until the people of Ashraf and Liberty are eliminated. They will not stand for them remaining in Iraq. They will not stand for them being resettled. They want to see them all eliminated because they are a threat to the regime. And that is why it is incumbent on the United Nations and it is incumbent on the United States to give protection to those people. They stand for our values. They stand for what we believe in. And they stand against the mullahs. And it is our responsibility to protect the people of Liberty and Ashraf.
شما حتما بدونید که در داخل ایران هم به شدت برخورد میکنه رژیم با هواداران مجاهدین و این مقاومت و با اعضای خانواده اشرفی ها، اعدام های مکرر، شکنجه یا کشته شدن زیر شکنجه. به نظر شما در مقابل این رژیم با همه این تهدیدات چه سیاستی باید جامعه جهانی و مشخصا آمریکا داشته باشه؟
Well, I think the international community has finally, after much pressure and much foot dragging, begun to impose serious sanctions, economic sanctions against Iran. But I'm not sure that is enough because the problem is, particularly now that the United States has begun to engage in some talks about the limitation of the nuclear program in Iran, this gives legitimacy to the government in Iran. We should not be negotiating. It was the policy of the United States not to negotiate with terrorists. The regime in Iran are terrorists. They are terrorists against their own people. They are terrorists sponsoring terrorism throughout the world. They are terrorists against Americans. They have killed Americans. Blood of Americans is on their hands. So it should not be the position of my government to give them any legitimacy by talks. And they cannot begin to negotiate how much uranium and other nuclear materials can be enriched because it is opening the door for Iran to get nuclear weapons. And once that happens, it will destabilize not only the region, it will destabilize the world. We could see another world war because of the Iranians getting a hold of nuclear weapons. This is the most dangerous thing. And if the United States is not willing to be firm, it will open the door. The Iranian mullahs will misread and not understand what is being said. They will think it is an invitation to them to move ahead. And this is extremely dangerous.
Thank you so much for being with us for this interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.